Good morning, students. It is the video for class 10. Students, it is the video for the subject English. The book is First Flight, and here it is the lesson, the diary of a young girl, Anne Frank. Really, it is from the diary of Anne Frank. We want to make you understand how her diary became famous and who were the characters that are required to be learned. It is quite essential. In the first video, I had already told you about some characters that are used here, but here I would like to tell you about some more characters, and they are quite essential to know. Mr. Van Daan, the father of the family that hides in the annex along with the Franks and who had worked with Otto Frank as an horrible specialist in Amsterdam. Really, this was the man whose actual name is Herman van Pels, but Anne calls him Mr. Van Daan in her diary. According to this very young girl, he is intelligent, opinionated, pragmatic, and somewhat egotistical. Mr. Van Daan is temperamental, speaks his mind openly, and is not afraid to cause friction, especially with his wife, with whom he fights frequently and openly. It is his openness. Mrs. Van Daan says Van Daan's wife, her actual name is Auguste Van Pels, but Anne calls her Petronella Van Daan in her diary. Anne initially describes Mrs. Van Daan as friendly, teasing, but later calls her an instigator. She is a fatalist and can be passive, egotistical, flirtatious, stingy, and disagreeable. Mrs. Van Daan frequently complains about the family situation, criticism that it does not admire or respect. Mrs. Van Daan does not survive the war, but the exact date of her death is quite unknown. Really, Peter Van Daan, he is a teenage son of Mr. Van Daan's, the Van Daans you can say, whose real name is Peter Van Pels, and first sees Peter as obnoxious, lazy, and hypersensitive. But later they become close friends. Peter is quiet, timid, honest, and sweet to her, but it does not share her strong convictions. Really, they sit for hours upstairs on the stairs landings and talk together. They were even found sitting together, having love, but they really were rebuked, and mother did not like it at all. Now here you will come to know that what was her complete name. That was Anneliese Marie Frank, who was born on 12 June 1929 February. She was a German-born Jewish girl. Really, she wrote all the things in her diary, and she lived at the time in Amsterdam during the German occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. Really, the World War was imposed by Germany, Italy, and Japan, who were highly ambitious and it was the need of that Adolf Hitler to get rid of the economic crisis being imposed by the British uh, rulers as well as the America and Russia, who have really made them handicapped. And after the World War, this country had became nothing but a tool in the hands of these countries. So, in order to resist and get rid of that economic crisis, Adolf Hitler had to fight this war. Her family and his family moved to Amsterdam after the Nazis gained power in Germany, because Nazi had started cruelty with the Jews with the understanding that the Jews are so wealthy and they had destroyed the country and they had exploited Mency, just made them believe that it is the anti-Semitism. That's why all the Jews are the enemies and the Aryan race is the best one in the world and they are the superiors and they are non-Germans, so they have got no right to live in the country. It was the idea that he had in his mind, and he wanted to propagate all these things. And she had to leave in 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. After 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camp system, where gas was just given when they went to the toilet, and really this gas was poisonous, fatal, and they died instantly. It was barbed with the electric wires. One who tried to escape from there really had to bear the electric shocks, and they died instantly, and their skeleton could be seen. Anne Frank died of typhus and Boris in Belgium within days of her sister Margaret Frank also died after father, the only survivor of the group, returned to Amsterdam after the war ended in 1945 with the bombardment on the cities of Japan, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, which really destroyed and devastated the whole city, whose effects can be seen till now, and the children and the generations who were born even after the 70 years they remain handicapped. If you want to know all about their sufferings and pains, you cannot see but the films that are based on this Holocaust. If you see, you can understand. If you read such poems and the stories, you will know how this very cynic, heinous crime he had done. It was American President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So here, convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. His father decided it. The diary was given to Anne Frank for her 13th birthday and chronicles the events of her life from 12 June 1942 until its final entry of 1st August 1944, after which she was sent to concentration camp. It was all translated from her original Dutch into many languages and become one of the world's most widely read books. And there have also been several films, televisions, and theatrical productions, and even an opera. Opera, musical concerts were organized based on her diary, and so it was insightful mind. The diary provides all the intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation. You can understand how terrible life was living in that. Even they could not go to toilet for the whole day, because if it flushed, certainly it will give a clue that someone lives there. How they had to pay. Anne Frank says, writing a diary is really a strange experience for a girl like a 13 years old who had never written anything before. Why? Because she realizes that she was not interested, and why should others be interested in her thought because she was only 13-year-old schoolgirl. But she was not disappointed. Rather, she was encouraged because she wanted to write and she had an even greater need to get all kinds of things off her chest. Means she could not bury all her feelings and emotions in her heart as she had determined herself to write. That's why she says people has more patience than people. If we talk with people, people reply and retreat and react. But paper just bears all the ideas. It absorbs and absorbs all kinds of thoughts that we express on it with our pens and ink. Really, Anne Frank thought of this very saying on one of those days when she was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with her chin in her hands. Why? Because she was bored. She was feeling no energy and she was under depression, wondering what to say and to whom to say, where to go and where to stay, and finally she stayed where she was, brooding, where she was feeling some ideas that were just being growing up in her mind. That's why she understands that paper has more patience. Really, it has patience. That it doesn't reply, it doesn't react. Since she was not planning to let anyone else read her this very hard backed notebook, grandly referred to as diary. Really, unless she should ever find a real friend, it probably would not make a bit of difference. She was so determined. And so Anne Frank was back to that point that prompted her to keep a diary in the first place. And she did not have a friend, and she wanted to express it. And she called this friend a kitty. Kitty is the name of her diary. Thank you, children. Thank you. And I will tell you something more in the third video, and so you will watch it, like it. Thank you all of you.